All right. Welcome to Bon Jovi Discussions. Today, I have my buddy Patrick from upstate New York, who is also getting hammered with snow right now. How are you?
Good, how you doing, Jerry?
Good. How much snow you got over there?
We got, well, I can show you the snowbank here.
Getting a tour
We,
of
uh, I
Patrick's house.
don't know if you can,
Oh man, looks
yeah,
looks beautiful though. I mean, it looks beautiful when the snow stopped and the roads are plowed.
yeah,
Then it's kind of tolerable. So.
oh, yeah.
But anyway, you and I we met back in October at the chili cook-off, and
Yep.
you had come up to me and said you had watched the podcast episodes, which I'm grateful for, and you and I we just kind of just started to hit it off and just we talked for hours that day, and waited and stuff, and became good
Mm-hmm.
friends. And I'm glad
Mm-hmm.
to finally have you on the podcast. I know we've been kind of working at it, but so before we begin our topic, I always like to ask how you became a Bon Jovi fan.
Well, much like you, it was, I'll be 35 tomorrow, and it
I'm not
was,
30. I'm 31, buddy.
oh, you're 31. Oh, I thought you were a little closer, but it started with, It's My Life.
Okay.
And, with me, though, it was on it was Now 5. I don't know if you remember the Now CDs.
I
But
remember
they
now that's what I call music.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that came out, and it was "It's My Life," and then I loved it. And a couple weeks after that, I found a cassette tape that my mother had. It was New Jersey, and it wasn't completely rewound all the way, and it was on "Born to Be My Baby." And I remember the two songs at that time, "Born to Be My Baby" and "Wild as the Wind." I
Ooh.
just thought were amazing. So then after that. Um, I was a fan and Bounce. So for me, it went It's My Life, New Jersey, Bounce, and then in between Bounce and Have a Nice Day, I started going back and just buying all the catalogs and downloading it. And
Yeah, awesome. What's your absolute favorite song?
uh,
If you got stuck on an island and you could only have one song for the rest of your life, which if you're
well,
stuck on an island, you're not going to last that long anyway, but
I
what's-
know, I know it's not the band's favorite, but when we were at the chili cook-off, if I had to have John sign something, and luckily he did, it would have been 7800.
oh,
And I was always a fan of Only Lonely. I know it's not the um that's when they were just finding their sound and stuff like that. I know it's not
mhm.
their best work, but that was always one of my favorites. But I think their best album was New Jersey.
Yeah. Well, back to 7800 though, that is just a phenomenal album. We know that John pretty much hates it, but
Mhm.
fans, you, me, and millions of others really appreciate that album because, that was still a time where the band was trying to find their chemistry together and trying to see what worked, what didn't work. And that album is very guitar driven. That's a lot of Heavy Richie on that album, which I loved. Because after that, you still get Heavy Richie on a lot of songs after that album, but he's kind of taken back a little bit, as far as sound
Mhm.
goes. But with 7800, there's a lot of Richie in that album, and I think that's what made the album so good too. And
There,
lyrically
there's
too.
a lot of David too.
Yeah, a lot of David too. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so it was more harder rock driven, in my opinion.
Hmm.
It's a gem of an album. So,
Hmm.
but today we are going to talk about the outtakes from, well, not all the outtakes, but a few gems of outtakes from Have a Nice Day. And I don't know if you could see, but I kind of set the mood for you and I here. I have
Oh, the red.
the red lights, yeah. So
Nice.
I set the mood.
Thank you.
But so obviously we're not gonna talk about the Have a Nice Day album in general, but just kind of like an overview. It was put out in September 2005. Initially, it was actually supposed to come out in 2004. Uh,
Hmm.
and then there was, the box that came out, and then the record company and the band had some kind of misunderstanding about release dates and timing and stuff. And so thankfully that gave the band more time to re-record some of the songs, work on the songs, write some more songs. So some of these outtakes were actually supposed to be on that album, and because of the delay and stuff, they became outtakes. So, this whole album, Have a Nice Day, um, it's more of I hit this word, self-empowerment, stand up for what you believe in, kind of what Bon Jovi has done with their lyrics in the last 20 years. There's also songs about divorce on there. You talk
Hmm.
the music and the music industry with Last Man Standing. So let's get into the first um outtake. Now we'll go with Dirty Little Secret because that's the one that you wanted to talk about. And I'll let you start off because I know that's the one you wanted to talk about.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that 2004 pre-release because I remember watching live when it was on. I think it was the American Music Awards
Yes.
in 2004
Uh-huh.
when they did "It's My Life" and then they did a minute and a half clip of "Have a Nice Day."
Yeah.
And it wasn't really that much longer after that when that box set came out. And
Right.
I remember going to buy "100 Million Fans Can't Be Wrong." Of course, it's not like, not to sound ancient, but it's not like today where you can go on YouTube and everything, you have a better idea of what's coming out. I remember going to buy that box set and Have a Nice Day wasn't on it. I thought for sure they were playing it kind of like a pre-release to that box set. And a couple of the lyrics, if you listen to the 2004 Have a Nice Day pre-release,
Yeah.
a couple of those lyrics, it was the way they sang them in the American Music Awards that night.
Yeah. I think the chorus is like pretty much 90% different lyric.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think there was an interview that John did that day that said that they were thinking about premiere, but they weren't sure. And
Hmm.
that if they did, he made some kind of joke like don't hold him to it or something because they were in the middle of changing things and stuff. And then
Hmm.
they did a minute and a half of it, like you said,
and
just
and to and it was so cool too because you didn't know it was coming,
yeah,
and you had Richie up there with a double neck guitar. It's still that it just I wish they would have done the full song because it's just a minute and 30 seconds of adrenaline. It was just so cool
yeah,
because it was nothing you had heard.
yeah.
And the divorce songs, I remember that too. I believe it was Novocaine and Wildflower, and one
Uh,
was for David and one was for Richie.
Last Cigarette.
Or I'm sorry, you're right. Last
Yeah.
Cigarette and Novocaine.
Wildflower was written kind of for Dorothea from
Yep.
John, but Last Cigarette and Novocaine was about divorce. It was Dave.
And they had that Brian Wilson
Yeah,
uh, um,
yeah,
reference Last Cigarette, and I remember I always wondered too. It's the type of thing if you got to hang out with these guys, you'd want to ask them. But I
yeah.
remember it was right around that time too. Richie had done the dedication to Brian Wilson, so I don't know if that
Oh,
had
yeah,
I don't know if that had any influence on that song or not.
yeah. And Richie's divorce was after the Lost Highway, or right before Lost Highway. So Have a Nice Day for these divorce songs were actually about David's divorce, and one of John's friends was getting divorced too. And so some of that inspired those songs too. And David also co-wrote on this album too. Uh,
Hmm.
so, but let's get into Dirty Little Secret, and I'll let you start off with your thoughts on it.
Um, I my thoughts on it are it's a fantastic song. I think it could have been a single on its own, but it didn't fit with the album. So I'm guessing that's why it
Yeah.
was an outtake. Because I remember when that album came out, Tico had said this is the first album we've ever done where there's no love songs. Um, and it's just a great song. And like I said earlier, a lot of those outtakes, I think there were five. Um, if they would have kept going, it could have been their own album because they're all great.
Oh, I
And
know.
it was nice because when they did that vinyl box set, they finally put "Dirty Little Secret" on that.
Yeah. Well, Dirty Little Secret was on some international editions. So
Japan, I think.
the standard American edition didn't get it, but I think Germany got it, Europe got Dirty Little Secret on there, and then like you said, when the vinyl got reissued in 2017, it's on there as well, which is pretty cool.
Hmm.
Um, the song is like you said, it didn't really fit the album, so I can see why it was an outtake. And I know I'll probably get hit for this. I'm not that crazy about it. Like it's a decent song. But I know the fandom absolutely loves this song. There's a lot of
Hmm.
hype for it. Me personally, I'm not crazy about it. I like it, but like you said, it doesn't really fit the album because this song is more about secrecy and a love affair. The lover cheating on their spouse. And the song just kind of encapsulates desires, needs, and then the risks that come with that. Cheating, and the dirty little secret meaning implies hidden and the taboo nature of a love affair. And so
Hmm.
I guess I could have summed all that up with just saying it's about a love affair.
Hmm.
Kind of, um, but it's still a good song. Um, it's a song like that John has written. Like "I'm Your Man" or
Hmm.
"Damned" or "Love Ain't Nothing But a Four-Letter Word." It's all about spousal affairs and stuff like that. So it always makes me wonder too, what inspires? Because it's obviously not about him. You know,
Yeah, you've just beat me to it. I always wondered what the inspiration was behind it.
and it's not just like one song. I mean, I just named four songs about cheating and stuff, and so I always just wonder what
Hmm.
inspires him to um, write that stuff. Um,
Hmm.
but I'm looking at my notes here, and I also think like musically too, it was kind of back to their older roots, a harder rock type sound. There's
At that point in their career, it was definitely a curveball. I thought.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the guitar riff, especially in that intro there, I think that's pretty cool. And John's vocals are what really drives the song, I think. I like when he sings, "I light a candle in the garden of love to blind the angels, looking down, looking down or
Hmm.
above,
Looking down from above.
looking down from above."
Yeah.
Um, and then that pre-chorus with the I want to come inside, and then it goes into
Hmm.
the really powerful chorus. Um, yeah, it's a good song. I know I kind of just undermined it a little bit, but now that I'm talking about it, it is a gem.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, I know they're two completely separate songs, but like, "Edge of a Broken Heart" from Slippery. Um, it's I think it had the quality to be a single. It just didn't have a home anywhere on an album. You
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you said a little bit ago, it just doesn't fit the album lyrically, musically maybe a little bit because of that guitar riff, but
Hmm.
lyrically and what it means, it just doesn't fit the album. It'd be, even Wildflower is kind of like a standout track because, like you said, Tico and John and the band, they would say in interviews, there's no love songs on this album. Wildflower is kind of a ballad. It's written for Dorothy and it's about love and stuff. And it's not a full on, I'll be there for you ballad, but it is a
Hmm.
love song. So, but
Yeah, and I remember too. I don't know if it was the third night at Giant Stadium, but when they did "I Am," they had uh, successfully done every song off that album on the
yeah,
tour. I remember they said that was, I think, maybe the first album they'd ever done that.
yeah, Wildflower was only done, I think, twice. I Am was only done once, I think, and that was
Yeah,
for the Giant Stadium show.
yeah.
Complicated
I
was
was.
played. Yeah, but that's a different word. Let's talk about my favorite. So this is my favorite outtake of all time.
Hmm.
Nothing.
Hmm.
And I think it's just a phenomenal song. And I really hope that we get a release version of this song. It's on YouTube and stuff, the demo.
Hmm.
Um, but it was written by John Ritchie and John Shanks. It was actually So a little fun fact here, Nothing was actually when the band announced Have a Nice Day album, it was actually on the original track listing. And
Hmm.
and I forget what it was replaced by. But anyway, but later on the record company and the band thought that it's Nothing sounded too similar to I Am. And so John had to choose which one he wanted to take off, and John chose to take off Nothing. and I'll let you talk about your Bill Bice bit here in a
Mhm,
second. But eventually, the song was given to Bo Bice, who does a great version of it. It's called "Nothing Without You." So just a
mhm,
little lyrically different, but it's actually pretty much 99% the same song. And I'm pretty sure too that instrumentally it's the same. I
mhm.
still think it's the band Bon Jovi doing it the instrumental, and Bo Bice just sings on it. But I'll let you talk about your little Bo Bice bit there that you told me before we got on because I completely forgot about that.
Well, I love I Am, but I think he probably should have went with Nothing, to be honest with you, to go
Mhm.
on the album.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember, because I was following that album beginning to end, and I remember Richie had done Vehicle, a cover of Vehicle with Bo Bice.
Hmm.
And I think I just wonder if that, if they were hanging out and that was the inspiration to give the song to Bo Bice. And I agree with you, because if you play the 2004 demo and you play Bo Bice's song, I think he just laid down the vocals. Yeah, I can't hear anything different instrumentally.
Yeah. And I don't know too much about Bo Bice. I think he's a great artist and stuff, a great singer. I don't know too much about him, so I don't know if he has his own band or if he just kind of lays vocals over tracks. But you can definitely tell that, and, Richie and David, even Tigo have very distinct sounds. Like, if like you listen to other stuff that they've played on and stuff, you can tell who's playing,
Hmm.
and then you can tell that's the band playing on Bo Bice's.
Hmm.
This song really has very powerful vocals, which I'll get into, and I love that melody in the song. Um, start off with the intro. Those, the guitar keys. The dun, dun, dun,
Hmm.
don't I sound beautiful? And then the drums come in, and then you get a little bit of a heavier guitar sound, and then John's vocals come in, and the way that he does the verses, they're very what's what I'm looking for. They're inviting, and
Hmm.
they just sound incredible, and like in that bridge, I won't give up, no, because I won't let you down. Then it kind
Hmm.
of goes into not a full a cappella, but how could I live? How could I, and then all of a sudden he screams because I would die, and then drums come in and I think
Oh,
that's what
it's
makes the
great.
song one of the best parts of the song is that moment,
Hmm.
because like that's what hits you in the heart,
Hmm.
because I would die, the way that John says it, sings it, and then it goes into that final chorus. I just
Hmm.
think that's just phenomenal. I also love the lyrics. It doesn't matter what I say, it all amounts to nothing anyway.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and I think that's what this song is to me. If you look at the lyrics, I think it's a song about a relationship at its end, and
Hmm.
there's nothing that you can, hey, pun intended, and nothing that you can do to make it work anymore. Like like I just said, it all amounts to nothing anyway. There's nothing I can say that's going to change your mind and want you to come back. And it's just like there's nothing there. There's no feelings, and a relationship is just done. That's it.
Hmm.
Uh, and and so I wonder if that was kind of inspired by David's divorce too. That song.
Well, I know you'd mentioned, and I do remember that Richie's did come after, in between that and Lost Highway. But I do. It was February. I remember when they were on tour of Have a Nice Day. It was February of '06 was when Richie's divorce had started.
Yeah.
And then in the spring, he was with Denise Richards, because that was the first time I was supposed to see the band for the first time in Albany in 2005. And I couldn't go because there was a snowstorm. So the first time I saw him was in 2006 in
Okay.
Montreal. It was like their third to last show of the tour, and they opened up with "Rockin' in the Free World."
Yeah. I love that as an
But
opener.
I remember at that point Richie was with Denise Richards and the divorce had started, and I do remember seeing an interview with John where he did mention that even though the divorce started and in the middle of the tour, that it had been coming for a while. So he did say, I do remember him making a reference that there was hints of Richie's divorce on the album too.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Now that you said that, I think I do vaguely remember something like that. But
mhm.
yeah, was there anything else that you wanted to say about nothing, or you have nothing, pun intended, to say?
Like I said, I absolutely love I Am, but I would have thrown nothing on the record
You throw nothing on the record, leave it blank.
over I Am.
You
Yeah.
didn't get my joke.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I gotcha. But you know
Uh,
what? Even that outtake from 2004, I mean, it's still, I mean, it it doesn't sound, raw or anything like that. It sounds like it's pretty complete, I think.
yeah, yeah, I like if some the band does a box set, I really hope that nothing is on it because it is just like I said,
Hmm.
it's my favorite outtake, and I'd love a remastered version of it, even just the way that it is, just
Hmm.
better audio, better sound
Just
quality.
clean it up a little bit.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
so let's get into the next one because I absolutely love this outtake, and this one should have been on the album, Unbreakable. It really
Hmm.
fit with the album theme. It's kind of like Bounce, and this song could have been on Bounce too. And so
You beat me to it. I was
yeah,
just gonna say the same exact thing.
it's all about coming back and can't be knocked down, and you know
Hmm.
it's kind of like I Am versus Nothing. It
Hmm.
was musically the same. And so I wonder with Unbreakable, with it being, the kind of like the same message in the song and, kind of that in your face rock guitar and drums and vocals. I wonder if this was intentionally written part of during the Bounce era and then maybe finished later on. And I know that this is on some international editions too, Unbreakable. I think
Yeah.
it's on one. Um, but yeah, it's definitely one of the best "Have a Nice Day," if not Bounce era songs that they've ever done. And you gotta keep in mind too, Bounce was 2002, "Have a Nice Day" was 2004, 05, so it's very close in time. So I do wonder if it was started to
M-
be written during the Bounce era.
musically, it definitely sounds more
Yeah,
bounce, I think.
yeah. To be honest with you, I think it could have fit with "Have a Nice Day" though, because it kind of fit with that message still. And
Mhm.
honestly, it would have been one hell of a single, I
Oh
think.
yeah. I always pictured like that was right around the time when John started doing the Philly Soul in the arena football, and I thought it would have been a great song for like Philly Soul to come out to, or
Yeah,
it was that it's my life, bounce, um, Unbreakable was all kind of that same, like you said, in your face kind of,
yeah. That's a good
you
idea.
know,
That would have been pretty cool for this soul
yeah,
theme.
yeah,
Yeah. I love the chords and the riff. The da 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 da. I love that. And then
hmm
John's vocals is what really gets in your face too. The way it's kind of like someone who's having an altercation. They're right up in your face and they're telling you off and they're saying "fuck you" and all this.
hmm
I love the way that John kind of sings it. Um, it's just you say that I just love it. I could keep
hmm
all day. Um, I think my favorite part is the pre-chorus. Seeing all the screaming in the fight and living through the screaming in the line. I'm fine. You can't deny that I'm unbreakable. Pretty much saying
hmm
that you can't break me, and I've been through it all already, and kind of growing thick skin in a way.
And you know what? I heard a song. I wish I would have paid more attention to it. I think it was actually a country song, and I should have looked to see the producers and everything. But man, it lyrically, it wasn't unbreakable, but musically, pre-chorus, chorus wise, instrumentally, it sounded just like Unbreakable.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think who it was now. I'd have to go back and look, but
Yeah.
yeah, and that one did kind of fit the album, but yeah, you beat me to it because I've always said the same thing. To me it sounds more like Bounce. I wonder if it's
Yeah.
something they just kind of cleaned up and you know
Yeah. And if it was for Bounce, I could see why it was an outtake because it was kind of ideally musically the same, like every day, Bounce,
mhm,
musically and lyrically, undivided in a way to hook me up. So I think putting Unbreakable in there would kind of be too heavy.
Too
Uh,
much. Yeah.
yeah, but Have a Nice Day it would have fit because you get Have a Nice Day. It's a little guitar driven, heavy. But
Mhm.
really, there's no other song on that. Maybe Complicated a little bit, and then Unbreakable were probably the most guitar driven, heavier songs from the band on that album. Everything else, and I Want to Be Loved too. Has that too. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. Anything else you want to say about Unbreakable?
Uh, um, no, I mean, just again, like I said, all those outtakes. If they would have had a home on some other album, they were all worthy of
Yeah.
being their own singles.
Yeah. Let's talk about the last outtake. These arms are open all night. And so this is on some international editions too, but this was actually intended for the album. Um, and then I think it got taken off early on, even before the whole misunderstanding with the record company and the band release. I think it decided to get taken off. But then it got put on the box set. And it's one of those, these arms are open all night. Open All Night was something that John has. I think there's like a total of 5 songs John said he had written. I think we've got 4 of those songs. Open All Night on the Balance, and then Open All Night on the box, and then these arms are open all night. It was one. It's kind of like Shot Through the Heart. It's one of those types that John worked with different songs,
Yeah.
and it definitely did not fit the album. I think it would have been a weird um to have on. It just doesn't fit, but it's still a gem of a song. Um, Yeah, and I think it's like one of those songs too that would be great for like couples to like. I'd love to dance with this song to my wife, or with. I'd like to dance with my wife to this song. Mixing up the words there, um, but yeah, it's still a good song. What do you think of it?
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think I love it, and I love all of the ones you just mentioned, but I think it's something that John himself just felt like he never got right because, like you said, you had Open All Night on Bounce, you had the two on the box set, you had this, and all four of them are all great songs. Um,
Yeah.
Again, yeah, like I said, I'm not to repeat myself, but if it would have found a home, that particular version of that song is my favorite of all the working titles.
Really? Mine
Yeah,
is on the other one on the box. I'll be right here waiting no matter how long. I'm like a jukebox playing my favorite song. Yeah, I love that. That's my favorite one. And there's actually a really cool fan made video on YouTube where it shows clips of him on Ally McBeal, and the song just kind of fits with that fan footage of the
hmm
episode.
hmm
But yeah, was there
it's
anything?
funny. Oh, I was just gonna say, like you referenced, like Shot Through the Heart. Then he did like You Give Love a Bad Name. Um, on that box set, not to get off track, but Out of Bounds is definitely, you can hear the later inspiration all those years later with Two Story Town. Um,
Okay, I could see
going
that.
down, going down, 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 down,
I know.
and then instead of Out of Bounds, Two Story Town.
Yeah, I actually always thought that, and sometimes it's funny too. I was thinking that in my head because there's a song Out of Bounds that was for Slippery, and
Yeah,
I always start to sing Out of Bounds.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's funny to see, all the and like God knows what's in the vault. You know what I mean?
Oh, we're gonna find out soon, buddy.
Yeah.
Well,
Today's the big 40th birthday, right?
the Big 40. Yep, that's
Yeah,
right. Our band's, you know, technically the band's been around for almost 41 years now, but we're going
yeah,
40 years from the debut album. But
yeah.
there anything else that you wanted to say about the Have a Nice Day outtakes before we conclude the episode?
Just real quick, like, I know you and I are on the same page that I think some of the best set lists were the 2010 Circle Tour, and
Absolutely.
I know obviously a lot's changed from now till then, but I think like, not to compare him to Bruce or anything, but Bruce live will play stuff that were outtakes or B-sides, and I just really wish, I mean, we were lucky to get some of the early stuff on the Circle, but I mean, if they came out and played something like Dirty Little Secret,
Yeah, I
the
know.
audience is gonna, you know what I mean? Like, if
Yeah.
they just through something. I wish, because he definitely has the fan base to where, like, if that song started playing, especially like for an anniversary tour, you know, if you're doing an anniversary tour versus promoting an album, you're gonna have the fans that are there. You know what I mean? So like if he came out and did something like that, it's the audience isn't gonna be like, oh, what's this? People will be losing their minds, and there'd be 1,000 comments on YouTube the next day about it.
See, I I'm with you on that, but I also unfortunately see the other side of the fence with that because in 2010, when they were doing a lot of stuff from the debut and 7800 and even some from Slippery, a lot of fans were like, "What's this?" Now, people overseas, love that. They love getting the deep cuts. Sadly, here in America, people just want the hits and that's it. They don't want, and so those songs were short-lived on the Circle tour.
Hmm.
Not to get off base what our topic is and before we conclude here, but I just want to say I remember when the band announced on MySpace, the MySpace days, they put out what songs would you like to see on the set list, rare songs. And constantly people were still putting Living on Prayer, It's My Life, Bad Name, like, and you wanted to be like, they're gonna play those songs. They meant what rare songs would you like to see live? And it just and so my whole point of saying that is that's what fans just expected. And that's
Hmm.
why Only Lonely, Roulette, and Let It Rock, and you know, the other just all the other songs that they did that was rare didn't last long because of that, because the American audience just want the hits. Now, I'm
Hmm.
like you, I'd love to see more deep cuts and outtakes than the hits. You know,
Hmm.
sadly, it just like even last in 2022 when they did, the acoustic set, I will always say it was a wasted opportunity because they could have played different songs every night, but they did American Reckoning in that acoustic version of We Don't Run. And I'd look around and I had a good time seeing those songs played. I wish they would have done different acoustic songs every night, but you look around, everybody was bored out of their mind with that.
Hmm.
And so I think it just, and I'm surprised like Radio Saved My Life actually did quite well though.
I was on there for a while on that tour.
It was every night they did it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and it did very well. Everybody, a lot of you look around, everybody was singing the words and stuff, and so that was kind of cool to see because that was an outtake from Keep the Faith, and
Mm.
it's on the 2004 box set, but yeah, but I'm with you. I'd love to see more deep cuts. Being, and with this being 40 years, and I don't want this to turn into another discussion here, because this is for the Have a Nice Outtakes, but I will say, with it being 40 years, we should be celebrating 40 years of the music and not just having the same generic, I don't want to say generic, but generic set list that we've been getting lately, of just hits and ignoring stuff from the first two albums and
Mm.
just pretty much just doing the hits. I'd like to see more set lists like the Circle Tour.
And again, not to get off topic, but just to touch on that, I've thought a lot about the 40th anniversary, and I know it's not going to happen, but I really think that at this point it's probably going to be, if we're lucky, 22, 23 song set list at the most.
Yeah.
And I've thought, if he got away with doing like 8 songs, like Runaway, um, Bad Name, Prayer, Wanted, Born to Be My Baby, Keep the Faith, and It's My Life. I really think he could do whatever he wanted with the rest of the songs
Yeah.
for the
Let's
for the for the set.
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk off the episode with it because this is episode's just
Okay.
for Have a Nice Day Outtakes. But I want to thank you for coming
Yeah.
on. I know we've been planning this for the last 3 months, and so I'm definitely going to have you on again, especially to talk about
Yeah.
what's to come. And but thank you for
Yeah.
coming on.
Thank you, Jerry.
All right.